My name is Jamie Brand, Regional Agronomy Manager for 360 Yield Center. I wanted to share some insights today. I'm out in the field, starting to look at what the gap might be between potential and nitrogen. And so if you look behind me, you'll see some of the different levels. This was actually pulled on at an angle with fall anhydrous. And so now we're coming out knowing that we have a hot band, because you can actually see the corn that has hit the band and the corn that is not, which reminds us that nitrogen that we applied in the fall certainly did not flush across that field. So if you actually look at these two plants that I'm holding up here now, the one in my left hand with the larger red system, the more robust stock versus this, and you can actually see a little bit of nitrogen deficiency on the one. This is between the knives, and this one that happened to get planted right over the knife track. So the biggest question that I get today is, how do I sample my field so I get a representative sample so that it really means something that I'm moving forward in how I plan my nitrogen? And many of you heard me many times. Right now what I do in each field is I look for three different personalities. One is the most representative soil, which is usually my medium soils, my most productive soils, typically fairly well drained, that we can get particularly our highest yield. Then we've got our lighter soils that tends to have less nitrogen available because of lower organic matter. And then we have our heavier soils that we get less root development because we have less oxygen, potentially higher denitrification and different things like that. So once you've identified those three spots, then we go out to those spots and how do we get a uniform core that really represents that area. So what you'll see here is I have a board and it's got 9 holes in it. And so I lay that down, and I know within that board I'm going to be in and out of that hot zone based on that banding application. So the first thing I did is I went down each hole and I got 9 cores that represents the top foot. Then I went back down the same holes and I got a distribution that represented the bottom, or the 12 to 24 inches. When I was out here last week, I took a sample of each individual hole and ran those 9 samples, actually 18 because I did the 12 to 24, through my soil scan to see if I could find the distribution. And what we're finding based on those banded nutrient applications, that we are seeing basically one of those cores be quite high, 2 of those cores right adjacent to it being in the middle, and then as we fan out across that, we're basically just picking up residual in the ground. So these 9 cores that are in here represent a hot, 2 that are off to the side of the knife track that are in the mid-range, and then the remaining 6 are basically just residual nitrogen. So the biggest thing that we're having is, now we've pulled these, we need to make sure that we get this completely broke down, that we're getting it completely down as much as we can. Typically we're going to put that into a soil bag, take it back. When you do get back to your soil scan or you get ready to send it in, re-dump it back in here and rework it one last time before you run it through the soil scan. The same would be true for the 12 to 24. Now obviously the 12 to 24 can be harder to work with. It's at times harder to pull. It tends to be less organic matter. It tends to be tighter soils. So it's important that we do that. So when I basically average these out, because a lot of people say, do I really need to go down 12 to 24? When I average these 9 holes out, I actually have more nitrogen that is farmer applied in the 12 to 24 today in this field than I do in the top 12 inches. So not only is it very important to take those cores, get it mixed up really well, but it's also important to do that both at the 0 to 12 and the 12 to 24 range if you really want to identify where your field is and how to make the best recommendation. Thank you.